So some of the Hamzat fanboys have, been talking a lot of shit in the comments, and they're upset with me. They're upset with me. Apparently, I'm a casual. Apparently, I don't know what I'm talking about, even though so many other people share the same opinion as me. Today, we're going to talk about the real reason why Dracus du Plessis lost and why the fight was boring. And if you guys had watched my post-fight reaction to Hamzat Chimaev defeating Dracus du Plessis, you would have seen I said as much as it was an impressive performance from Hamzat, it was boring. And as much as it was boring, yes, Hamzat didn't really do much with his control over DDP. Yes, he landed a certain amount of significant strikes, but the significant strikes they were questionable. But with that being said, as much as I blame Hamzat, it takes two to tango. So, DDP had nothing to offer in terms of defensive wrestling. We've seen with guys like Kamaru, Usman, Gilbert Burns, when you have something to offer in terms of defensive wrestling, it forces Chimaev to stand up and trade with you. In my honest opinion, the person who has done the best against against Hamzat Chimaev is Gilbert Burns. Because Gilbert Burns actually has good BJJ, he was able to threaten from his back. If you can't threaten anything from your back, Hamzat is going to continue to take you down and continue to stay on top of you. However, when you mix in the defensive wrestling, it can open the door to submissions, you getting submitted, potentially getting, ground and pounded. But at the same time, it doesn't allow your opponent to be comfortable. And this is what people need to understand. When it comes to the wrestling side of stuff in mixed martial arts, you need to be able to either stuff takedowns consecutively or offer some defensive wrestling, offensive wrestling. So when I say defensive, let me rephrase that, offensive, defensive wrestling, which that means, yes, you are defending yourself from being ground and pounded and submitted, but at the same time, you're offering something offensive, which is threatening submissions or throwing elbows from the bottom, So if you are able to do that, and this is why wrestlers will continue to do so well, yeah, and why Hamzat will be dominant, because he will be comfortable, because nobody offers anything from their back. When he fought Gilbert Burns offered something from his back. So it literally forced Chimaev. Go and watch his two fights, one with Gilbert Burns and the one with Kamaru Usman. Because they both can wrestle and they offer something, it forced Chimaev to stand and bang. He had no choice. As much as he did take them down, because they kept, he kept going for the takedowns, they kept offering something. So it literally forced him to stand and bang. So, if you personally, I'll be honest with you guys. I was having this conversation with somebody earlier because we was talking about that. Like, when I go to the gym, I'm not talking about martial arts gym, I'm talking about weightlifting. When I go to my weightlifting gym, everybody's always asking me, oh, what did you think of that fight that happened on the weekend? Because they know I'm the MMA guy. I do these videos, I train MMA. So everyone knows I'm the MMA guy. So everyone loves to talk to me about it. And I was saying that because listen, I've been doing martial arts a certain period of time, and the reality is I probably will have to fight someone who has trained wrestling most of their life. That's just how the game goes, unfortunately. But even if they are able to take me down, I will try as much as possible to stuff those takedowns. And even when they shoot for them takedown, I'm going to make it difficult for them to actually get me to the ground. And if you do get me to the ground, just know this. Any future opponent I have, if you get me to the ground, you better be ready for them scrambles, because I am not going to accept bottom position. And if, because of them scrambles, I get tired and I make a mistake and you submit me, then fair dues. I would much rather that, because then I know I've given my all. But for me to just lay there and let another man lay on top of me, nah, that can't happen. So like I said, if you Hamzat fanboys actually listen to what, and this is the problem with people in general, they don't listen to the whole, everything that I've said or everything people say. They hear something they don't like, or they hear something they do like, and they run with that. They completely forget about everything else that was said. Because I did say it takes two to tango. And as much as Hamzat is to blame, DDP is to blame, because he didn't offer anything off of his back. If he did, maybe, because MMA Guru said it, he could have put, Chimaev could have pushed for the submission, and that's the annoying part, because it's like you just played with a man for 25 minutes when you could have pushed for the finish. However, what I will say is, if DDP had offered something from his back, maybe Hamzat would have pushed for the finish, because maybe that would have created more openings. DDP was being very reserved. Even when Hamzat was on top of him, he was tucking his head into Chimaev. So it's like Chimaev couldn't really do much. So fair enough. They're both to blame. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you are going to be an MMA fighter and you cannot offer anything from your back, you are finished. Honestly. And I don't know why so many fighters come into to MMA, especially the level of the UFC. Listen, I feel like you should be doing this before you even get into the UFC. From the day you start martial arts, I feel like you should be mixing up everything. You train your wrestling, your BJJ, your boxing, your Muay Thai, and you put it all together. But if you aren't doing that and you now get to the UFC and you still think at the highest level you're going to be able to, just use your striking and you're never going to get taken down and you're never going to meet an elite wrestler, then you're fucking bugging, because the game is evolving so much. Even the striking has evolved. So, you need to be able to offer something you need to be able to offer something from your back. It's like Sean O'Malley when he fought Merab Dvalishvili. He had nothing to offer from his back. Literally nothing. With the long limbs that Sean O'Malley has, you would have thought he would have tried to go for some submissions, maybe a triangle or something. As much as Merab is a smart fighter, those who understand what I'm saying, they will understand. As long as you offer something, this is the reality. A wrestler who's fighting MMA, yeah, they come into the octagon, and what do? They're going to take you down, because that's where they feel most comfortable. I'm going to give you guys an example. Ilia Topuria. If you watched my video where I done the breakdown of how he analyzes the people he's going to fight, he finds out where they're most comfortable, where they throw the most shots, etc., etc. If I was fighting a wrestler, I would find out. I would watch his videos. His fights. I would see. Okay, he likes to be in this position. I need to put it this way. A wrestler taking you down, that's where they feel comfortable, and you need to make them uncomfortable. And this is another thing, yeah. This is why I did judo briefly as a child in primary school. I think in America that would be elementary school. What's before high school? Elementary, I think it is. I did judo. I didn't do it for too long. But what I will say is I still remember certain things from judo. And even now, from the day I started martial arts, I said to everybody, I'm going to get taken down. I want to get taken down, because I want to be in the most uncomfortable positions in training, so that it becomes so comfortable when it comes to fight night. I'm comfortable with everything. And this is the problem. Honestly, I cannot repeat it enough. If you cannot become comfortable with the uncomfortable, you're going to find it very hard in the sports we call mixed martial arts. And if you cannot make, even strikers, if I am a wrestler and I go fight an elite striker, I need to make it uncomfortable for them. Cool, maybe I'll have them guessing, thinking I'm going to strike. Yeah, I'll be real. What Hamzat does is very smart, because he'll drop high, he'll drop low, he'll keep moving, making his opponents think that he's going to strike with them. As soon as they shot, boom, he shoots for the takedown. Or in the midst of him going up and down and moving the right, he shoots. And this is my point. Wrestlers actually know how to make it uncomfortable for strikers, and strikers need to learn how to make it uncomfortable for wrestlers. And that's why, for me, I feel like if you're going to do a sport like mixed martial arts, I would say my striking is my strong point. But I work on every single thing. I work on all the little details because I don't want to be an elite striker. I don't want to be an elite wrestler. I want to be an elite mixed martial artist. That's why Ilia Topuria is pound for pound #1, because he can do it all. As much as he hasn't really been tested like that, he can, like, in terms of all of his skills, he can do everything. That is why he is pound for pound. And in this day of martial arts, the way the game has evolved, if in Big 2025 you are not trying to be an elite all-round mixed martial artist, I'm sorry. Don't get me wrong, some elite strikers will become champions. Yeah? But not all strikers can become champions if you don't have the full package. And that's just the reality. With all of that being said, an interesting fight. Personally, the two best fights I think they can make in the middleweight division is probably RDR or Anthony Hernandez versus Chimaev. And the reason I say that is because I'm not saying Chimaev doesn't beat them, but the reason why it will be interesting and the reason why people will have questions going into this fight is because these guys can offer something from their back. They're going to threaten submissions. They're not going to just allow Khamzat to be on top of them. Who knows? Khamzat might just be that freakishly strong and that good at wrestling that he is able to do that. But for me, those are the two fighters that can even give Khamzat a bit of trouble. And I saw a little interesting take as well on Instagram, and it's actually true. Everybody that's given Chimaev problems are big welterweights. And it just goes to show that the middleweight division is actually lacking. Like, DDP actually fooled us all. Listen, I wouldn't necessarily say he fooled me, but it's just, I did think, yeah, he's going to offer more. I didn't think that Chimaev would take him down and hold him there. I honestly thought that DDP would try anything and everything in his power to get up, but he didn't. He actually didn't. It's like he was comfortable with being there. But, shouts out to Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns because, boy, they're welterweights and they've given Chimaev his hardest fights. And if we're looking at the current middleweight division, apart from RDR and Anthony Hernandez, who actually gives Chimaev a tough fight? And even them, will they give him a tough fight? Because everyone else is pretty much strikers. So, to be honest, the middleweight division is probably the least exciting just because, Chimaev is probably going to be a dominant champion for however long he stays champion. Whether he's going to be an active champion, we don't know. But whether he's active or not, he's still going to dominate that division because I don't see anybody apart from Anthony Hernandez and RDR being able to offer anything from their back. And I'll say this again before I end this video. I know some of the Khamzat Dick Riders fanboys are upset with me and apparently I'm a casual, but actually listen to what I'm saying. I've got no issues with Khamzat. I've watched a lot of his previous fights, thought they were good fights. You know what it probably is for me, why I found the fight so boring. And listen, regardless of what I'm about to say, the fight was still boring. The performance was, yes, impressive because you were able to hold a man down and control him for 25 minutes and the man had no answers for you. But was it boring to watch? Yes. But can I say there is elements of Khamzat's game from that performance that I can take for myself? Yes, 100%. 100%. But maybe the reason why I really found it boring is because I'm used to seeing Khamzat get a finish and just, absolutely dominating and ragdolling these guys, which I feel like if he really wanted to, he probably could have done that with DDP. But Khamzat did what he needed to do to get the win. And at the end of the day, yeah, you're not there, as much as it is an entertainment business, you as the fighter are not there to entertain people. You are there to collect your money, get the belt, and go home. So shout out to Khamzat Chimaev for doing that. Honestly, I have nothing against a man chasing his dreams and achieving his dreams. If anything, I'm happy for him because I love to see people achieve their dreams. you know, make their dreams a reality. But the fact that so many people are upset with me and so many other people giving this opinion, it's crazy to me. Because when Kamaru Usman, like I said in my previous video, when Kamaru Usman was putting on performances like this, people were calling boring. People were calling Pantoja boring, but Pantoja actually tries to get the submissions and just doesn't always happen to get them. So, you know, again, before I finish this video, shouts out to Hamzat Chimaev. Like I said, I've got nothing against him. I just didn't enjoy that fight. Even one of my pals seems to think I don't like Hamzat. Listen, one thing I'm not going to do, yeah? This is the last thing I'm going to say before I end the video. One thing I'm not going to do, yeah, is lick somebody's ass or not tell the truth. Because listen guys, Khabib, people used to call Khabib boring. But, you know, and I was one of those people. But looking back, he actually used to maul people. So, okay, I'm going to leave you guys with this question. What Hamzat did to DDP, was that mauling? Or what Khabib did to numerous opponents, was that mauling? And that would answer your question of whether the performance was boring or not. Yeah, because everybody is just up his bum. And one thing I'm not going to do, guys, I'm sorry, I don't give a shit who this offends and who doesn't like what I say. You guys in the comments can keep talking shit. Yeah, because half of you that talk shit in the comments, I promise you, in this real life, you would not say half of what you're saying to me, to my face. But I don't even care for you lot because you're internet trolls. You're Twitter warrior, keyboard warriors. But, see now, I've gone too deep into my rant that I've even forgot what I was saying. But, yeah, I'm not gonna lie and I'm gonna call people, I'm gonna call it for what it is. Because, and this is the MMA community for you. It's one thing for one fighter and another thing for another fighter. It's okay for one fighter to do something and it's okay for another fighter to do something. Just like whenever Khabib talks about McGregor, whether it's good or bad, everybody dick rides him and says, yeah, I agree. But anytime McGregor says something about Khabib, oh, he's coping. He still dreams about him. He still has nightmares. He's living rent-free in his head. Rat-tat-tat, etc., etc. So I'm not going to lie. I'm going to say things for how it is. I don't give a shit who it offends. Even, I'll be honest, even the people that I know personally, like my friend and some of the coaches I know that are saying what they're saying, I promise you, when someone puts on a performance like this and they call it boring, I'm gonna bring them up and I'm gonna say, but when Hamzat fought DDP, did you guys not say it wasn't a boring fight? Like and subscribe, guys. Comment below. It's Big M's in a bit, man.